One of the things that I struggled with a lot when I had cancer that wasn't related to the treatment itself was just knowing that people were talking about me all the time behind my back. Though I didn't hear the conversations myself, I knew they were occurring because when I was a primary caregiver for my mom who had brain cancer, that's what I was doing. As documented in my book, Losing Linda May, a Cancer Caregiving Memoir, in the moments I included for December 27th through January 1st, most of the conversations that I was having revolved around my mom, her experimental trial, and how soon she would die, because at that point, we weren't feeling very confident that the trial drug that she was on was doing anything for her. My family and I went to great lengths to prevent my mom from realizing how much we were talking about her, because we knew it wouldn't have a good effect on her mental health. So whenever she would bring something up, we would just all pretend like we were completely oblivious, like it was the first time we were hearing about something. And when we would console her, we would try not to make it apparent that we had all prepped about how to handle her current state. Obviously, this was all well-intentioned. We wanted to present a united front as her caregivers. Everything going on was difficult enough already. The last thing we wanted was any differences of opinions that we had as caregivers to reach my mom. We always wanted to resolve them before we had talked to her. I don't know how aware she was of just how much communication was happening behind her back. In part 3 of my book, she discovers a text conversation between my dad and I when she's looking at his iPad, which was awful, and I had to do a lot of damage control. But that's when I realized how much we had to lock it down and really hide it from her. And in a moment I included for December 31st in my book, my sister mentions how she reaches out to my dad via his work email, which he could only access at his office, just to make sure that my mom did not intercept the message. This is all normal. In fact, caregivers communicating consistently and effectively is the way to make sure that the needs of the individual who's going through a medical crisis are met. And it's also important for caregivers because it makes you feel less alone and isolated. Quite frankly, caregiving can get really tough, and it's nice to be able to vent to someone who understands the situation completely versus trying to explain everything to a friend and feeling self-conscious about what you're expressing, because they can often be really complex emotions and situations, and then getting worried that you're being judged. But going back to what I said in the beginning of the video, when I had cancer, I hated knowing that so many people were talking about me and my circumstances behind my back. I'm just a very direct person who is in touch with his feelings and emotions, and I just wanted people to come to me with whatever was on their mind, even if it would upset me in the moment. I'd rather have that than just know that that was happening behind my back. Obviously, coordinating surprises and gifts and meal drop-offs was totally fine to be occurring behind the scenes. Same with the emotional support piece. Like, I wasn't the right audience to reach out to if someone was really contending with the fact that I may die from the disease. I wouldn't be the right person to console them in that moment. I just wanted the direct communication if someone was questioning my decisions or the treatments that I was doing. I feel like being challenged is good. Whereas with my mom, we knew that any of those types of conversations needed to happen behind her back, because she would have just felt like we were giving up on her or questioning whether or not she would live. That is why we were communicating so much by ourselves and not with her. So my advice for caregivers is to tailor your communication style to the individual for whom you are supporting. If they are like me, just be direct. They'll appreciate that. However, if they're more like my mom, you may need a lot of sidebar conversations. But just make sure, if that is the path you have to go down, that they have no way of finding out, because nothing is worse than finding out that people are talking about you behind your back, even if it's well-intentioned. And for those out there who are going through a medical crisis, understand that it is inevitable that people are talking behind your back. Most of the time, it's for your benefit. But if it makes you uncomfortable, express that. Caregivers are not mind readers. They have likely also never gone through something similar to what you're experiencing. So overstate your preferences. Let them know. That is the only way you will see changes in their behavior. Always remember that. In the next video I'll be releasing on January 3rd, I'll be talking about knowing the fate of your loved one before they find out. So hit subscribe, leave any questions in the comments. The link to my book, Losing Linda May, is in the description, and I will see you all on the 3rd.